or national security? Brannon brings the issues of the day into clear focus through the lens of a Judeo-Christian worldview. And now, here is your host, Brannon Howe.
And welcome to the broadcast on this June 23rd. 2025. Breaking news tonight. President Trump says there is a ceasefire deal. There is a ceasefire deal, he says. Here it is. We're going to be joined by Cyrus. We're going to be joined by Colonel Rob Maness. We're going to be joined by Nick Hulscher. We're going to be joined by Patrick Wood. I think that's everybody, right? Here is the tweet. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final mission for 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire. And upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war. That will be saluted by the world during each ceasefire. The other side will remain peaceful and respectful on the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will. I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. This is a war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. God bless Israel, God bless Iran, God bless the Middle East, God bless the United States of America, and God bless the world. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. Now, well, will this hold? That is going to be the big question. Will it hold? And of course, I guess we just don't know, right? But we're going to find out in due time. But we're going to talk tonight on a lot of other issues because there are folks that are wanting to see the Shah's son, the prince, go back in. He has just left America to go back to Paris, where he gave a speech. And he is talking about a 100-day plan. Now, why are some people talking down the prince? Some people running around talking about that the Shah, his dad, was a dictator. Well, Annie was born and raised there. She knows. She's been tracking that family for years, and she's going to address that. Some things that have been put out there about the family that she wants to address. We'll get that. And we're even working on trying to get an interview with the prince ourselves. We've been working on that now for several weeks, and we may be getting closer. We'll see where that goes. But we're going to address some of this stuff with Cyrus tonight. Then we're going to talk to let's talk to Patrick Wood, or let's start with Nick Hulscher. We'll talk with Nick about this here: mass animal vaccination drives. Now, if we go and do that, and Dolly's got her squeaky toy. I love that squeaky toy, Dolly. If we get vaccination programs going into the chickens and the cows, will we be absorbing that when we eat the meat? Would we be taking in the toxin? Would we be taking in the bioweapon? Could this cause this thing become a big deal, human to human? Fueling deadlier strains and risking the risk of a human pandemic? I want to get into that tonight with Nick Hulscher. Also with Nick Hulscher, he is reporting tonight that the vaccines have killed more Americans. Look at this graphic. COVID-19 vaccine deaths. World War I, World War II, Vietnam War. World War I, World War II, Vietnam War. More people killed by the vaccines than all those wars combined, Americans. And that's using a conservative number in the underreporting of deaths and to VAERS. Wow. We're going to get into that tonight with Nick. How about this one? Technocracy. Patrick Wood. Pippa Malmgren. Mexico is the new China. Why would she say that? Is this laying down the idea of a North American Union? Mexico is so rich, so wonderful, that we maybe should just go ahead and merge with Mexico. Stronger supply chains, competitive cost, higher quality control, geopolitical stability. Does anyone think The push for a North American Union is still on the table. I think it is. Let's see what Patrick has to say tonight. We're also going to talk about another article over there at technocracy.news, and that's this one right here. $250 million acre bonanza. Technocrats' big, beautiful land grab. Now, why is there in the BBB, the big, beautiful bill, why is there in there something that allows for this land to be sold? Who's going to buy it? What private companies might buy it? What private companies might buy it that are behind different cryptocurrencies? What is all this about? I'll show you, but what was it? June 2011. 2011, I did a show saying, a radio show, 2011, don't be shocked if land is taken by the federal government to back a North American Union currency. 2011, my radio show. This is stuff we've been tracking when people told us it was conspiracy theories. Really? Like someone said, so many of my conspiracy theories have come true, I got to find new ones. And then those will come true. So let's get into that tonight with Patrick Wood. All right. Let's talk to Colonel Rob Maness. Iran threatened to activate U.S. sleeper cells in response to any strike on nuclear sites. Don't forget we had Todd Bensman reporting back in 2007, Iran's push into Nicaragua. And then remember us talking with Todd Bensman many times about the assassination squads, Unit 910, the Iranian assassination squads, 910. He's been talking about that since 2018. We've talked about that with him so many times. He, by the way, is now the top advisor to Tom Homan, the border czar. Let's talk about that. So that gives us Nick, Colonel Rob, Annie, Patrick Wood. That seems like a pretty full night tonight. Now, before we get underway, don't forget, we're brought to you by you. Oh, by the way, I did my 41st program last night. Program number 41. If you go over to worldviewtube.com, you can find program lesson 41. There it is, Revelation, lesson 41. Why the mother of harlots? Why the mother of harlots? Program 41, as I'm teaching through the book of Revelation. That was last night. And by the way, let me just tell you guys real quick, make sure you get our app. Make sure you get our app. Because if you get our app and you set the notification, you'll know when we're going live. We went live on Saturday night. I went out to dinner. I said, wife. I said, that would be Melissa, the wife. I had a friend, a guy that grew up down the street. A guy down the street when I was growing up. He was much older than I am. I don't know, probably 10, 12 years older. And we would play ping pong, and he was a meat guy. He was a butcher. And he used to always refer to the wife. And I didn't know her name for the longest time. I just knew her as the wife. So anyway, the wife, my wife, Melissa, I says to her on Saturday, if we're going to go out to dinner tonight, I think we better do it early. So we set our reservations for 4:45. 4:45 Saturday night, went out to dinner. That was a good idea because we found ourselves right back in the studio, and I was at the desk with a great panel for 2 hours Saturday night. And if you want to hear all about that panel, it's there at worldviewtube.com. And the point I'm making is this. If you like to know when we go live, because we got breaking news, you want to get our apps, whether for iPhone or Android, and you want to set the notifications. Because we put out a push notification saying we're going live. Logan says our audience on Saturday night was, again, one of the biggest audience we've ever had. So again, thank you to all of you. When we do go live, that you tweet, text, email, Facebook, Getter, True Social, you do all that. Thank you. So important. So, because we're growing very, very rapidly here, and we thank you for that. But go to worldviewtube.com/APPS, right, Dolly? worldviewtube.com/APPS and get our app. I think we have a lower third for that. worldviewtube.com/APPS. Right there. Does it? Oh, it is. It's so small I couldn't hardly see it, but you're right. Thank you. Sorry, my mistake. worldviewtube.com/APPS and set the notifications. Now, if you have the app but haven't set the notifications, go to settings, notifications, scroll down till you see the WorldviewTube app, put the button on green so you get them, and then you know when we go live. All right, now, before we get going tonight, got to get going, folks. Got to get going. Remember, we're brought to you by you. We are a listener-supported network. WorldViewTube.com/sponsors is where you'll find all of them. And of course, you know I take the Numi every day to detox. I take the Bella Grace. I take the Galatana. Those are the three things I take every day. I highly recommend these things. I also recommend you go to worldviewtalk.com, get your satellite phones, get your solar generators. Great sponsors, folks. Please go there now, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. And don't forget, one of our biggest sponsors is our foundation, so we can keep pushing out the programs absolutely free of charge. Worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. All right, we're going to take a quick break, come back to it, and we're going to start out with Annie, and we'll get into the Shah, his son, we'll get into this ceasefire deal and all of that, and then Colonel Rob Maness, Nick Hulscher, and Patrick Wood. What a night. Don't go away. Worldview Tube, we'll be right back.
Looking for a trusted source to understand today's world through a Christian worldview? Worldview Tube is built on the 35 years of worldview books, columns, research, and high-profile interviews of Brannon House. Want to know more about Worldview Tube, its founder, history, team, and mission? Visit worldviewtube.com/about. That's worldviewtube.com/about. Worldview Tube is your source for understanding the times through the lens of a Christian worldview.
Let's go to Annie Cyrus. She's with us tonight. Annie, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us. If of course you and Logan are done making fun of me, because I could hear what you guys were saying about me in there.
It is so good to be back, Brandon.
Yeah, no problem. They're making fun of me. I don't know. Why are you guys always making fun of the old man? I don't understand.
We were just stating some facts that were funny.
Yeah. Like, how long is this segment going to be? I said, I don't know, 10 minutes. And they said that means 20. Oh, maybe it will. And she's after that squeaky toy again. I hear it, but I don't see it. So I don't understand what toy she brought in there. But that is going over the air, right, Logan? Yeah. Which one is it, Dolly? Come here, bring it here. Oh, there it is. Come here, bring it here. Let me see it. Let's at least show everybody what you're squeaking. I don't even know what. I'm not even sure what that is. I'm not sure what that is, but you love it. She tears these things up until she gets the squeaky. She tears them up, takes out the squeaky thing, and it's like digging for a prize, like in a Cracker Jack box. But I always take them from her because I don't want her swallowing it. But there you go. You can have it back, but maybe don't squeak it. All right. What would we do without pets to liven up our lives a little bit with all the serious stuff going on? I know you got cats, but I have a dog, as you well know. But man alive, they do have a way of helping us kind of get a little more grounded after all this going on in the world, don't they?
They do, yes. Especially, I don't know about your dogs, but one of my cats, he loves to cuddle. So when it's all done and over, as soon as I sit on my couch, he just crawls up. There's like, hold on, let me cuddle with you, make you feel better.
Yeah, well, Dolly is a cuddler. She is a cuddler. There's no doubt about it. Sleeps in between Melissa and I every night, all night. All right,
that's
so
adorable.
You've got a new one out. Dolly. Shh, Dolly, quiet down. History is calling. Don't throw the tyrants a lifeline. Now, this is the prince, the Shah's son. Now, I have to ask, Annie, some people that I like personally are out there on social media saying, oh, we can't let the Shah's son come in here. His dad was a tyrant. His dad was a dictator. Why are people saying that? Is that true? Is that false?
It is false. It was the original textbook that started getting out by CIA back in about 1971, as I believe, when they started, when the father, Shah of Iran, decided to throw a very giant, luxurious party. That was not his. He celebrated the 2,500 years of Persian existence.
I remember that.
And the first reporter from U.S. at location, enjoying the luxury, started the narrative, and the videos are out there. I can find them at some point, where she reported that as people of Iran suffer through poverty, this is what their king is doing, and the narrative from there started. The tyrant who's taking people's money in food and natural resources and throwing these luxurious parties everywhere, every day. And from there, Savak has started becoming a problem. By the way, I should note this, and Brandon, I'll be more than happy to write a Substack, and I mean a real Substack about this, but Savak was trained by Mossad. They were as much of a tyrant as Mossad is. Is Mossad firm? Yes, so was Savak. So now,
I want to make sure your audience, and that's footage, by the way, I think of some of these parties that were being held. I actually watched a documentary on him not too long ago, and if I hadn't, I would not have known about these parties at all. I wouldn't have had a clue what you were talking about, but I had watched those parties.
Yes.
I was watching this documentary. Otherwise, I would have never known. And a lot of this money was privately raised, correct?
Yes. So here's one thing a lot of people don't know, especially Americans. Shah of Iran was a collector, and he actually would do a lot of moving around antiques, including weapons, like antique weapons. And a lot of time he would actually just take out of his own collection. So it was his own money that he would just, move collection around, make profit on it, and he would turn around and throw it into a party.
Okay.
And part of the original frozen assets, they were his own money, actually. He sent them because he was a collector. He wanted few weapons to add to his weapon collection, but then somehow it ended up being, it was the government money. Mm-hmm. That's the thing, that's that rabbit hole. I will gladly go down that rabbit hole. Again, he was not perfect. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Shah of Iran was perfect. However, he was not a tyrant. He modernized Iran beyond comprehension of any time of Iran. He managed to become America's strongest ally, even ahead of Israel in Middle East for the first time ever during his kingdom. And again, he was very firm. That is correct. He followed the Constitution. If he arrested someone like Khomeini in in 1963 to be exact, because he was putting plan together to create a coup d'etat that later on turned into the 1979 revolution. In 63, when Savak arrested Khomeini, they were about to execute him for treason. Now, US, UK, and France came in and said, no, don't kill him. He's going to become a martyr for Islamists. Let's just exile him. France was like, I'll take him so he has time to come and topple you when we need him to. I know I sound sarcastic. That's exactly the story. They changed his mind. Yes, Shah of Iran was planning to hang Khamenei for treason. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not. It is treason. What is it when they try to do a coup d'etat or topple the regime? It is. Is it espionage? It's a coup. It's a coup. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yes, by law, anyone who tried that would have been executed. Does that make him a tyrant? No, it doesn't. Makes him a leader who wanted to protect his country.
Now, some of these people that are saying he can never go back and all these things they're saying about him, many of them are supporters of MEK, right?
Yes.
What is MEK? What's that stand for?
MEK stands for Mujahideen. M like Mary.
Yeah.
E like Edward, K like King.
So it is MEK. All right, it stands for what?
Correct. M stands for Mujahideen, which is in Arabic, the jihadists, more than one. E is just actually a sound that adds the word to next. And Khalq is the K, which stands creation. So they are the jihadists of the creation. Mujahideen Khalq.
And now, are they here in the U.S.? Do they have a office here in the U.S.?
They are, yes, they do. Their headquarters, surprise, surprise, is in France. Before France, it was in Iraq. But when we toppled Saddam Hussein, they had to evacuate and move to France. They also do have offices, rallies, members, and active leaders, head level of organization here in the United States of America, mainly in Washington, D.C.
Now, why would Americans support this group? Are they not your violent jihadists? Are they a different type of Islamic group pushing for their global dominion without jihad? I mean, there must be something kind of friendly about them to make American leaders, some of them that our audience would respect, in past history, to be associating with them, right?
No.
No.
No. MEK, again, another project I'm working on between translating and all that. I'm working on that. MEK is they identify as a Marxist Islamists.
Oh.
Now, originally, in early 1950s, MEK started as a full-on Islamic Mujahideen Khalq. Later on, during the 1979 revolution, shortly before that, when some of the head and leaders were in prison, some of the secondary levels were like, hey, what if we go from Islamists to Marxists? Because Marxists had a lot of wills in Iran at that point. They were getting support from Soviet Union to push Marxism in it. Why don't we become Marxist? Later, when the leaders were released and they were set free and then they escaped to Iraq, they're like, hey, how about we become the Marxist Islamist? Nobody out there can compete with us, and we're going to have support from every end. Red-green axis in real meaning of organization. So they started to become Marxist Islamist. A lot of Americans would like for you to believe that they are the moderate Muslims. However,
see, that's what I was getting at. See, now you're making my point. I was like, they must be portraying themselves some way to get certain Americans to go along with it. So you're saying they portray themselves as moderates. By the way, I did just ask AI about it, and they said founded in 1965, MEK initially combined Islamic and Marxist ideologies. It aimed to overthrow the Shah of Iran and establish a democratic government.
Look at that. I am not making facts up, Brandon. Can you believe that?
Right.
But however, it is wrong. They were originally started in 1950s, and then later on, they founded it in 1950s, but in 1960s they became known. But that's all right. Anyhow, so here's the thing. They are not moderate because they have committed a very long list of jihad against Iranian people. Now, you'll have certain people, a mutual friend of ours, who will say those were all fake, and Islamic Republic of Iran, the regime blamed MEK for it. However, the truth is there are actual documentaries recorded by two heads of MEK admitting to all of those bombings, admitting to collaboration with Saddam Hussein during 8 years of Iran-Iraq war, admitting that when Saddam Hussein finally signed a peace treaty with Iran, MEK with their own soldiers tried to invade Iran, their own words. Now, unfortunately, in Farsi. So a lot of our fellow Americans here just take their word for it that, they were framed by the regime. By the way, their biggest winning point with a lot of Republicans, surprisingly, because they have been number one enemy of the Islamic regime in Iran, automatically the enemy of my enemy is my friend comes to play, and whatever they say, a lot of people here are believing it. And then when their name was finally released or removed from the terrorist list in 2008, thanks to Hillary Clinton, one of their biggest supporters, when their name was removed from the terrorist list, they were able to come to U.S., they were able to do fundraising, they were able to become legit organization. They came to enough money to not only restart their campaigns, but also start funding those who would turn around and endorse them, show up at their rallies, become their speakers. And today, they all have made the call of Prince Pahlavi is gaining momentum. Let's get out there, a smear campaign to start, use CIA's original textbook, smear his father, label him as like his father, because MEK is targeting Iran as much as anybody else.
Well, you told me that was going to happen last week. You said, Brandon, watch, because they're going to go after him and start a big, huge campaign to discredit him.
Yes, and with what he did very bravely this morning, it's just going to get worse. You're going to see a lot of smear campaign against his father, his mother, his brother, his sister, he himself, his wife. It's going to start happening. But
because he went to France, he left D.C., went to Paris?
Yes, he's in Paris.
And he announced that he has made contact with so many people inside Iran, or Iran, as you like me to say, and he is ready to lead the people, right? If they want him.
Yes. If you scroll a tad bit lower, you'll see that he actually announced that he has, first of all, he has 3 stages of economical, how do we put it? Economic survivor plan. A short one, which is 4 to 6 months, I think, or 4 to 8. There you go, right there. The emergency of 4 to 6 months, establishment 18 to 24 months, and normalization of long term. And then right below that, it says, in the coming days, he says, we will publish our roadmap for the first 100 days after the fall of the Islamic Republic. That is a leader ready to go. This isn't about, do you want me to come back? Is anybody interested in me even talking? He called for the press conference himself, or his office. He showed up, and he did it in Paris, not DC, not New York, not LA, in Paris.
Now, again, he's obviously not some hardliner, because we just showed the pictures, thanks to you, of a wedding the other day where his daughter married a Jewish businessman.
Oh, hardliner. Let's address the Islam Shia part that's also floating around. I have never seen either Prince Pahlavi or his family members or our queen, for example, on a Ramadan and do a iftar party. I mean, we do it at White House, but they have never done that themselves. The Shia Muslim part that is being carried with him is the same thing that has been carried with a lot of other Iranians, generation after generation. That's what it was. Now, I can't confirm this yet, Brannon. I will say it as I have heard from reliable sources, but I'm not confirming. His daughter has actually converted to Judaism before the wedding.
Oh, wow.
Again, not me confirming, but I have heard from very reliable sources that this was not an interfaith marriage. Daughter has converted to Judaism. So, again, another narrative of, oh, he's a Muslim Shia. You've never seen him do prayer. You've never seen him start any. You've listened to enough English language of him? Has he ever started with, in the name of Allah, the merciful?
Not that I've ever heard.
That's the thing. People need to realize some of these labels carry over and over and over. In their whole life, I don't think they even own a Quran. I have seen every Nowruz. I've never seen a Quran on their table.
So you've never seen one?
Never.
So
I have followed this family for.
I was going to say, you really know this family well, don't you?
I do, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Thanks to my grandmother, who countered all the lies, propaganda by the regime when I grew up about the Shah of Iran, I got very curious about this man being the father. When I came to America, I started studying his life. For a while, I was actually very upset with U.S. for kicking him out while he was dying of cancer. And then from there, I started following our queen from there, Prince Pahlavi, his wife, children growing up, all of that. So yes, I do know a lot about them on a personal level, on a policy level, on a faith level, on a love of country level. But going and doing this in Paris was definitely a big sign today. And also, he did say the whole thing depends on one thing and one thing only, and that is for West to stop throwing lifeline at the regime. That was another direct message to exactly our administration here.
So he said to the administration, not naming them, stop throwing a lifeline to the regime.
Yes.
And yet tonight we have President Trump, as we know, quote, congratulations to everyone. It's been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now. This was this afternoon he put this out. When Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions for 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. During each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectful on the assumption that everything works out as it should, which it will. I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, and having the stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. This is a war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. God bless Israel. God bless Iran. God bless the Middle East. God bless the United States of America. And God bless the world. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. He put this out at 6:02 Eastern Standard Time tonight. What do you make of this?
Not going to happen. And let me explain why not going to happen. I actually sent you an email with 2 attachments. Both of them from his Truth Social. Okay. One of them is just a one-liner of, I think, congratulations, world, we can now live in peace or something like that.
Yep.
Which I actually giggled. I think I almost sounded like Kamala Harris when I giggled at that one. And then the second one I have sent you, which was right before this one.
Did you send them to me or to Logan?
To you. Okay. Should have sent it. Did I send it to the wrong person? Sorry.
I don't know. I'm going to look.
It's just 2 attachments. The second one is the one that he put before this one, which I ended up putting it on my Substack, and I said, please, somebody make this make sense, please.
Yeah.
The second one, if you open the longer one, I don't know if you've seen the longer one or not, Brandon, but when you read this, my head goes in, who is this guy? And again, this is not me being anti-Trump. Do you mind reading it so I don't
Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of their nuclear facilities with a very weak response, which we expected, and have very effectively countered. There have been 14 missiles fired, 13 were knocked down, and 1 was set free because it was headed in a non-threatening direction. I'm pleased to report that no Americans were harmed and hardly any damage was done. Most importantly, they've gotten it all out of their system, and there will hopefully be no further hate. I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured. Perhaps Iran can now proceed to peace and harmony in the region, and I will enthusiastically encourage Israel to do the same. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States.
I'm still trying to make that one make sense, let alone the second one. What? I'm sorry. Does Donald Trump actually think he's running a daycare and he offered everybody afternoon yogurt so everybody's taking their nap now? Does that truth sound like this, or am I just extremely crazy now?
But aren't you kind of shocked that Israel would even agree to this? I mean, I thought Israel was going to go until they were done.
Well, here's the thing, though. Israel has, let's be fair, Israel has agreed to a lot of other ceasefires with Hamas too, right? But they didn't necessarily go for a ceasefire. An agreement. Now, I will say this, for everybody who was so mad at me Saturday evening for putting out what I put out, saying this is going to be where Trump is going to tell Israel, we achieved what you were looking for, now go for a ceasefire, and then he's going to throw more oxygen at the mullahs. I was called every name under the sun. My Facebook page was demonetized by a coordinated attack from everybody who was mad at me for accusing Trump of even having such a thought. You're welcome.
Well, by the way, people shouldn't be organizing campaigns against people expressing their beliefs and opinions. And you're telling me that so-called conservatives attacked your Facebook page to get to do what? Demonetize you or what?
So I'm going to be more precise. I don't think this was necessarily conservative. This was the MAGA members who first started by attacking me verbally on the comment sections, on private messages. And then by Sunday, I got a notice from Facebook that 78 reports have been placed on my page, and they have to review them. So temporarily, my monetization is suspended until they come to a conclusion.
Wait a minute. I thought MAGA people were free speech people. Don't shut us down. I mean, if you want to have your beliefs and promote what you want to promote on your Facebook page, that's your business.
No. MAGA as a movement, as a group, believes in you either say Trump 100% correct, can do no wrong, Lord and Savior, or they're going to come at you with everything they got. And this is my first interaction with them. But the point is, even my opinion, guess what? It was 100% accurate on Saturday, and the Substack is up. It's public. Anybody can go look at it. I'm not touching it. I said there are 2 things he's going to do. Either have his CIA get involved with regime change, or wait, he's going to go and say, Israel, we did what you wanted to do, ceasefire. Let's give oxygen to the mullahs. What he put out this afternoon is exactly the second guess I had about him. I said it from day one when he started negotiating. He's going to keep dancing with the devil. This ceasefire is.
But I'm
dancing
shocked
with
that
the
Israel
devil.
is going to take this because
I don't think they will.
No, you don't think they will? Okay.
I don't think they will because, first of all, again, all day I've been watching. It is such a blessing sometimes to know both languages, right?
You've been watching Iran and Farsi?
I've been watching Iran's direct channel, news channel, listening to their propaganda machine, and then watching our side and Trump's propaganda machine.
And that would be Fox News, in my opinion, the CIA channel, Fox News.
Oh, no, I've been just watching Trump himself, like his Truth Social.
But you would agree that CNN's, Fox News seems to be pushing the military-industrial complex line, in my opinion. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And that's why I can't. It's maybe 35 seconds to a minute and I'm done with Fox. I'm like, I can't even watch. How does anyone listen to Fox and believe a word? A word. The same thing with the other side. Again, I'm watching, they are all, and that's why I was laughing and I was crying and I was frustrated. So we told them we're going to hit their fire dose so they could move uranium. They told us they're going to hit our bases so we could make everybody. What is this? A soccer game, a strategy? Brandon, I almost today, I feel like, where do I go next? Because none of this is making any sense anymore. They're telling us to evacuate. We're telling them to evacuate. Why did we spend $43 billion? Sorry, $1 million.
So where do you think this ends?
As I said, the U.S., unfortunately, right now being Trump administration, they're going to try to sabotage this regime change, which they just did. They're going to keep trying. However, from what I've seen, what I've heard, and what I'm receiving on personal phone calls, people of Iran are done, so is Prince Pahlavi. So U.S. can keep trying to sabotage this regime change. U.S. can continue throwing oxygen at the regime. I don't think Israel is going to take part on this, giving oxygen, because they are very well aware of that regime and their dangers. But I would say I'm not backing down on this time. It feels different. The regime is over. The mullahs are done. How much U.S. is going to go down in Iranian history as the saboteur or the supporters, that's up to President Trump and his administration.
People should read it. History is calling. Don't throw the tyrants a lifeline. That's what the prince said today from Paris, France. LiveUpToFreedom.com. LiveUpToFreedom.substack.com as well. LiveUpToFreedom.substack.com. And if you want to support her work and research, you could go buy some of her beautiful artwork. Let me go over there. LUTFstudio.com. stands for Live Up to Freedom, obviously. LUTFstudio.com. Handmade artwork and crafts. Look at that. Liberty Dual handcrafted red and white chess sets.
Well, I figured since everybody's playing... chess in 3D all the way to 21D, I figured a real set of Patriot-looking chess set might have a place in this world.
And you make these all yourself by hand, right?
Yes. Every piece is made by hand, by myself. All products and material involved U.S. made as well.
Well, there you go. Isn't that cute? That's gorgeous.
Thank you.
LUTF Studio, LUTFstudio.com. Annie, as always, thank you. And you know what? We bring all sides on here. We had Colonel Rob Maness and Shahram Hadian kind of going a little against each other in the panel on Saturday night. We don't all have to have the same opinions. That's what we love about this network is we bring people on and we have the exchange of ideas, right?
Yes, but here's the thing, Brandon. You also set the foundation on truth. If I don't, it's been many years now, but if I send you something to bring up, you ask for my receipt. Mm-hmm. You don't just let us come here and spew whatever we want. That's the beauty of it. Your network is, the foundation of your network is facts,
that's right,
truth, receipt. Now, if the outcome or how we should have done it is a difference of opinion, you let us all, like civilized people, dispute each other.
Yep.
But the foundation is important. The facts need to be there.
100% agree. 100%. LiveUpToFreedom.substack.com. Annie, thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Stay safe.
You too, my friend. Annie Cyrus checking in. LiveUpToFreedom.substack.com. We'll be right back after this short break.
true beauty isn't applied. It's nourished from within. Bella Grace Elixir, a luxurious, scientifically crafted blend designed to restore radiance, vitality, and strength at a cellular level. At the heart of Bella Grace Elixir lies cat's claw, a powerful herb from the Amazon known for its ability to control inflammation and protect collagen. With Verisol collagen peptides, it goes beyond the surface, stimulating your body's natural collagen production to reduce fine lines, improve skin elasticity, and promote real, visible change. Bella Grace Elixir doesn't stop at collagen. It includes astaxanthin, one of nature's most powerful antioxidants. 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C, astaxanthin protects your skin from harmful UV rays and environmental stress, while locking in hydration and promoting a radiant, youthful glow. Experience the power of nature with Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Discover the science behind Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Read powerful testimonials from doctors and real customers who've experienced life-changing results, and explore other wellness products from Bella Grace. Bella Grace Elixir is more than just a product. It's a solution. Visit melissahousebg.com today.
All right, joining me now is Colonel Rob Maness. Colonel has a show here on Worldview Tube every day at 2 p.m. Central, 3 Eastern. And of course, we all know what happened over the weekend, and we did a lengthy panel on Saturday night, went on the air live Saturday night to talk about it. He brings us an update tonight on Brandon House Live. Colonel, as always, thank you for being with us.
Hi, Brandon.
Great to have you with us.
Good to be back.
All right, what's the latest? We had rockets shot at one of our bases today. They got knocked down. President Trump says it was kind of a weak response, but now he's ready for world peace. He tweeted something like that.
That's because the Iranians called him and told him. Not just the Qataris, as we were talking about earlier, got a call, but the president got a call and said, we're doing this to respond to you, but we're not targeting specifically, occupied spaces, and we're giving you a heads up so that we can preserve our opportunity for peace. But it sounded like to him. That's why he posted it. Yeah, that's it. There it is.
All right.
Now, having said that, we conducted and pulled off the greatest deception operation against an enemy of any country by any country when we achieved tactical surprise with those V-2 bombers the other night. I don't trust the Iranians as far as I can spit them, Brandon. I've been dealing with these jokers since I was 17 years old. I've lost friends and colleagues to them. I don't know how many colleagues and friends I lost in the Iraq war with the explosively foreign projectiles that they moved in there. And I don't trust them as far as I could spit them. So I love this, that it looks like the president's strategy is working, but we got to beware because they just may be trying to pay us back with another deception operation. So we need to be paying attention as he goes through this process.
So in other words, Colonel, Iran could be saying, hey, look, we got to save face, so we have to do something. We gave you a heads up. We called that country. We called you. We did a little thing. You knocked it down, and President Trump is like, it was weak, but now it's peace. That could have all been a ruse to make everybody think Iran took its punches, did a little bit to save face, but didn't do any damage by giving us a heads up. It's all over now. But reality is they're about to hit big time somewhere we never expect.
Very possible. It's happened before. Very possible. Don't forget, these are the people that killed over 200 Marines with one bombing in Beirut. I mean, this is the same mindset. That mindset and those people aren't gone yet. So that's.
And we also have been told that by some guys and gals, former CIA operations officer has been on the show many times saying that those Saudis on 9/11 were allowed to go into Iran and practice on flight simulators and did not have their passports stamped so that they would not throw a red flag when they were getting their passports to come into the U.S. to carry out 9/11. So if that's
deception and subterfuge is their mode of operation.
If that's true, Iran was involved in 9/11 then, right?
Potentially, if that's true. I've never heard of that, though.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I have not heard of that. And I was on the team that investigated who came after us. I saw the intelligence anyway.
Yeah, that's been put out there by CIA operations officer Claire Lopez many times.
Well,
on my show. And
I never saw it.
Yeah.
I never saw it.
And I can't validate it because I'm just reporting what she's reported for years.
Yeah.
But if that is the case, you know, Iran and their ability to do things, this should concern us. Here is from 2007. Iran's push into Nicaragua. 2007 by Todd Bensman, who thankfully is now the senior advisor to Tom Homan, the border czar. You guys all know I had Todd on about once a week for, you know, a few years and was in the studio. He was in the studio in November. I was at our conference a year ago in the Ozarks. Here's Todd in 2007 warning about Iran's push into Nicaragua. He has another one. You guys remember this? Back in 2018, part one of a three-part series on Hezbollah's Unit 910 in America. That is an assassination squad of Iran to go after Iranian dissidents in the U.S. and critics. He was warning about this assassination squad, Unit 910, from Iran being here in the U.S. back in 2018. I'll have the colonel comment on that when we come back. His website is robmaness.com. You hear him each and every day right here on Worldview Tube at 2 Central, 3 Eastern, worldviewtube.com. We'll be right back with a response from the colonel.
I'll tell you one little quick story. We had a Worldview Weekend client who lived in California, lost their house. Very wealthy guy. He didn't use Bitcoin. He came over here, drove to Arizona with $286,000 worth of his gold because he had no money and no house available. His bank was shut down because he couldn't have access to his bank account.
Was this during the fire? Was this during the fires?
During the fire. Didn't have his driver's license. He lost it. The state wouldn't give him a new license because he had no active mailing address. Real mess. So he came to Arizona to buy a house. He's moving everything over. He said, the only thing I got in my possession that I can get liquid with right now is my gold. I gave him a check for $286,000, and guess what? I didn't need his social, his driver's license. Sort of smiled, and I said, you know, I know you and Brandon talked about how this worked, but boy, this is great. I feel good. I got my money. Nobody bothered me, and I'm protected, and it's private. So you people out there who are sitting on your hands when Wes and I are sending you these requests and Brandon and you are talking to you, you better get active because you're going to pay me $4,000 an ounce the end of the year. Trust me.
You better get your. I highly suggest you get your free packet. You don't have to do anything. It's free, no obligation. Just simply go to worldviewgold.com, fill out the form, worldviewgold.com, or just text Wes and give him your name and address and say, I want the free packet. That's all you got to do. 602-558-8585, 602-558-8585. Hey, don't forget, each and every day, I take it, each and every day, this powerful elixir, Bella Grace, been taking it since December of 2023. 3 powerful ingredients: collagen, cat's claw, that's an anti-inflammatory, and astaxanthin, that crosses the brain-blood barrier, takes on the free radicals. And the collagen is high-end collagen, peptides cut short so your body absorbs it. Whereas a lot of the collagen studies show you're flushing it down the toilet, about 95%. Studies show you absorb 95% of this because it's high-end collagen with the peptides cut short so your body actually absorbs it, right? I tell you all the time, hands aren't cracked and bleeding. Haven't taken a Pepcid since December of 2023. Acid reflux is gone. Hair growth is amazing. I mean, they have the gal has to keep using the thinning shears. That's something I never thought would ever come back in my life. using thinning shears because it's too thick. The hair on the sides gets so thick, you got to use thinning shears. Are you kidding me? I mean, this is not a joke. I know it firsthand. Many of you do. We have so many of you that have a subscription to this, and you keep it. And you say, I don't know what I'd do if I couldn't get this anymore because, well, your problems, whatever they are, many of them different than mine, have been fixed, and you don't want to be without this. So why would so many people in our audience have a subscription if it didn't work? Why would they keep buying it month after month? They wouldn't. Neither would I, nor would I promote it. Because if it doesn't work, I'm not promoting it. My credibility is too important. This has 80 clinical trials. 80 clinical trials. It's the real deal. MelissaHouseBG.com for full details. MelissaHouseBG.com. Colonel Rob Maness is back. Colonel, the article from 2010 by our buddy Todd Bensman, who's now senior advisor to Border Czar Tom Homan, warning about Iran's assassination squads, Unit 910 in the U.S. This is something that he's been talking about for years. We've been talking about with him, talking about terror cells of other kinds here in the country. And now finally it made it to the top this weekend, right? Finally, pounding the desk all last week. Where's the talk about warning the American people about the terror cells? Kristi Noem gave a very straightforward 3.5 minute press Q&A time today. Very straightforward. She's concerned and she's monitoring these and being briefed regularly. This is still all on the table. And I'm particularly concerned, Colonel, about the soft targets of big fireworks displays come July 4th. The thing about July 4th is you not only have a lot of people in soft target areas, but you have all of this noise, all of that noise to cover. And you know how long it would take for people other than those, sadly, who would be on the receiving end of the shots? Do you know how long it would take for authorities to figure out what is all that in the midst of fireworks, particularly the grand finale, which often lasts several minutes and are computerized? I mean, that would be very difficult to even hear and recognize and realize what's happening. It would be such a, it would throw even the trained law enforcement would have, with the sounds of explosive bouncing off buildings or hills. This really concerns me. I'm really praying for our country come July 4th. It seems dangerous, but we're going to pray nothing happens. Yeah. It comes and goes. But I guess the point I'm making is Americans need to be vigilant, which is why we were so busy pounding the table on this last week. And finally, Kash Patel and others came out and started talking about it, thankfully. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm glad they started talking about it finally. I've been talking about it for years.
Yes.
And my guests have been talking about it for years. You know, I started my career as a bomb disposal technician, and I've been fighting terrorism since I was 17 years old. And we know they're here. You know, just yesterday, the news broke that CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, rolled up over 1,500 Iranians coming through during the Biden years, and they let 458 of them loose to stay inside the country. So not one of those people can ever be trusted to not be on a sleeper cell. The Chinese military-age male problem, and we know the communists and the Islamists are in an alliance together naturally, so they're going to help each other, and there are hundreds of thousands of them by some estimates that came through the Biden open border that are unmonitored and untracked and running loose around here. They're not here for free, for nothing, and they're not here to be Americans for sure, because there aren't that many that would be able to get out of communist China at one time without the government letting them out. So something's potentially up. The risk is high. I'm glad they elevated the terrorist threat level. I think they should keep it up through the July 4th weekend, no matter what happens with peace. And I'm all for it. I think the president is flawlessly and masterfully implementing his vision of American peace through strength with what's going on here. Look, you know, when we're talking about it, we don't talk from the perspective that it might fail. We talk from the perspective of, are these questions being answered before the decision's made to put American kids in harm's way? What are the potential unintended consequences? What are the potential second and third order effects by a specific set of actions? We talk about those because the American people should be informed, and we don't always get that from our government, but we can give it to them. We folks that have this experience and we should give it to them, not to scare them, but to give them the facts so that they know what to be prepared for. And in this case, they need to be exercising their Second Amendment rights to the maximum extent of the law. And take the time this weekend on July 4th to write your congressman and your U.S. senator and the president of the United States and plead with them to repeal every gun law that restricts me from being able to carry my firearm into any area in the United States. I just went to Washington, D.C. in the swamp last week, and that's the most uncomfortable place I ever go, is because I cannot even carry a magazine without any rounds in it into that place without being arrested. And you cannot get a concealed carry permit unless you're a resident and you have the time to go over to the office once a week to encourage them and cajole them into doing their job. So every law that restricts me from being able to carry a firearm in this country should be repealed. Every single law. If you're worried about security, do security so you know who's carrying armed when they come into a building. That's it. I'm an American citizen, and I have a right to defend my country, and I have a duty to defend my country. And everybody this 4th of July thinking about this elevated terrorism level should be thinking that way, because my head's going to be on a swivel. I'm going to be looking for people that are watching and looking for people like me, armed and ready. That's who they are. That's what they look like. You can spot them fairly easily.
Yeah, wow, well said. Colonel, minutes are getting away from us, but I have to ask, am I wrong when I look at the CCP or North Korea or any of these other countries that don't like us? Not to mention you got drug cartels, you got gangs, the communist regime of Venezuela. How do we know, I guess we don't know, but what is the likelihood, I should say, that one of these countries or groups could carry out a terrorist attack on soft targets on 4th of July around the country and blame it on Iran in order to get us going? In other words, when two groups are fighting at each other, stand back and watch, if not help, right? So what if Iran's like, okay, we're not really in a position to do much. We haven't activated our terror cells. Maybe we've lost communication with them, whatever it might be. But what if, so let's just assume we just take Iran right off the table. Let's just assume damage has been done. They're not going to do this. They've lost communications for now or whatever it might be. Iran's off the table. But some other actor comes along and says, but this would be a great time to carry out a terrorist attack and blame it on Iran, because President Trump has already said, if you come against us, Iran, you damage us, you hurt or kill any Americans, you're going to feel the weight of the federal government like you've never felt before when it comes to our military. Well, there he's already said it in print. So how do we know that one of these actors doesn't set up a false flag, if you will?
You don't know. That's why you can't respond too rapidly, especially with terrorist attacks. You have to get the information together and get the intelligence. Look, the Communist Chinese Party, the CCP, is in a declared people's war against us. They have been practicing unrestricted warfare on us for several years, since at least 2019. That's why they're buying land. That's why they sent all these Chinese military-age mills, and that's why we find secret bio labs that are growing viruses and diseases that could be used as bioweapons right here within our own country. That's why we roll up and arrest Chinese operatives flying drones over our shipyards, our harbor in Norfolk, Virginia, where the aircraft carriers for the Atlantic Fleet are all at, or out west. It's at Vandenberg, where we fire our intercontinental ballistic missiles and our hypersonic missile programs for testing and readiness testing. That's where we've arrested them at. So they're here. And of course, they would try to do that. The Chinese are masters at deception and misdirection and the art of warfare without going directly head on kinetically against a adversary that outguns them, and that we currently still outgun them. That's why they're behaving that way. They would love the opportunity, and I'm sure they're looking at it right now to see how they could pull it off if it turns out the Iranians do want peace and they pull back their sleeper cells.
So the 100,000 military-age CCP males are here. They could be activated. They do something. It gets blamed on Iran, however they choose to lay evidence to do such. And now America goes and gets fully involved in the Middle East, doesn't that then open up the window? People say, well, what would be the motive for China? Well, if we go get fully involved in the Middle East, that opens up the window more now for China to run after Taiwan while our assets are all over there in the Middle East, correct?
Yeah. And unfortunately, we can't even trust our own people. Senator Lindsey Graham's on the Senate floor right now, at this moment, advocating for regime change in Iran to continue this and upsell the president of the United States to put American boots on the ground there. He's on the floor right now. You can't even trust their own people not to try to pull off something like what you're describing.
Well, then that means you have to wonder about the CIA doing it.
Of course. Unfortunately, confidence is extremely low in our institutions in the United States of America. And it's not because of the citizens' fault. It's because of the bad actors that we've seen in government over the last at least 20 years. And some would say, Roger Stone would say, since 1963, when they killed President John F. Kennedy.
That's exactly right. RobManess.com, RobManess.com. He's on each and every day at worldviewtube.com. Gordon Chang put out the bombing of a church in Syria yesterday killed 25. We should follow the money to find out who perpetrated this heinous act. Many observers believe a foreign power was responsible. Let's pray we don't see any of that here in the country, that nothing happens. We all have a peaceful and restful 4th of July, but it would be irresponsible not to call on the American people to be ever vigilant. And that's what we've done tonight. Not trying to scare people, but trying to prepare people. Listen to him each and every day, 3 p.m., 2 p.m. Central, 3 Eastern. Rob Maness broadcast right here on Worldview Tube, robmaness.com. You can follow him on X as well. What is your handle on X, Colonel?
Rob Maness on X, on Facebook, on Getter, and on Substack. If you type in Colonel's Brief, you can go to my Substack and you can get all the shows at all of those locations I upload.
Awesome. Thank you, Colonel, as always, for being with us.
Thank you, Brandon.
Appreciate
God bless America.
Amen to that. All right, folks, you appreciate what we're doing here? Look at all we push out. We were live on the air for 2 hours on Saturday evening. So again, that was 2 hours last Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday last Sunday, 2 hours this past Saturday. I mean, I was on last night teaching my lesson through the book of Revelation. So we've been going a couple weeks now, 7 days a week. Is there a duck or a frog in here? Or did Dolly just walk into the studio with a squeaky toy? Dolly, come here. The audience, we get so many letters. We'll go get your squeaky toy. Come on up here. We get so many letters. People saying, we love seeing Dolly. We love to see Dolly. We get so many letters. Yep. So there you go. Folks, we love for you to support us, won't you? Before we go, we're going to break, come back with another guest. We'd love to have your support, folks. Can you go there? worldviewtube.com/sponsors, because look how busy we are. Oh, how can you say no to those sweet kisses? Those sweet kisses. worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. All Dolly approved and endorsed. You approve all these, don't you? Yes, you do. Please help us keep the network going. Our studio dog Dolly comes in and out at will. And apparently you brought in a squeaky toy. I just heard it. I don't see it, but I heard it. So there you go. She makes an appearance. For all those who tell my wife, who does customer support, how much they love seeing Dolly. There she is. There she goes. I don't know what she's doing. But thanks again for your support. We'll be right back after this break.
A lot of people are having great success with a weight management program with Bella Trim, but it's just a tool. In terms of ingredients, Chromex or chromium picolinate improves the actions of insulin, so you have better glucose management, and in addition, it promotes fat utilization. Fat utilization or fat burning is also a feature of metabolite, which are two botanicals that stimulate a switch called AMP kinase, and so you tend to burn fat, reduce belly fat or visceral fat. Who doesn't want that? Metabolite has the ability to stimulate satiety or reduce those cravings. That's really very, very important. And it does that by raising GLP-1 levels. In addition, we've addressed the microbiome by using prebiotics. Healthier microbiome, better weight management.
my story started with alcohol, and I had tried going to other treatments, and all I did was think about how I was not going to drink or how I was going to drink one more day and then stop the next day. And Katie had found a treatment. I thought it was kind of hokey.
I could see a couple days into it, it's like the light bulb went on with him.
It's an IV infusion of all natural NAD. It saved my life and my family.
We've been where you sit.
The hardest part of this is making that phone call and just come in and talk to us.
Joining me now is Nick Hulscher. He's an epidemiologist. He's also the director of the McCullough Foundation. Are we about to see a bunch of your chicken shot up with mRNA? And what will happen if you start consuming said chickens? Are you going to be eating a bioweapon? Will the food supply be poisoned? These are all questions, not statements. I don't know. I want to bring on Nick Hulscher to find out the answer to these questions. Nick, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So we have a report, I think you put it up on your website here on X, mass vaccinating poultry with non-sterilizing H5N1 vaccines, mRNA, or single antigen, will accelerate viral evolution, fueling deadlier strains and raising the risk of a human pandemic. This plan should not even be on the table. Yet it is apparently on the table. Why? And as I said in my opening, what will this mean if you consume chicken that's been shot up with mRNA? What does this mean? Are you now eating the bioweapon or toxin, poison? What?
Yeah, well, first off, this plan, and actually John Fleetwood on johnfleetwood.com, he broke this story first. And what actually is happening is the USDA is preparing a potential plan to mass vaccinate poultry for H5N1 bird flu. And we thought, honestly, because RFK recently came out a few months ago and he said they're not going to do this. But now this new USDA statement to Reuters indicates that they are indeed preparing this plan to mass vaccinate poultry. They're trying to sort things out with trade, right? Because other countries don't want vaccinated poultry. So it appears they're trying to quell those fears in an attempt to approve this. And this will be an absolute disaster to mass vaccinate poultry for bird flu during a bird flu animal pandemic will accelerate viral evolution, will lead to mutant strains, and drastically increase the risk of a human pandemic. This really should not be on the table. And if we do consume the vaccinated poultry, either with mRNA or with antigen-based vaccines, that food will likely still be toxic, right? We'll be consuming then the vaccine components if they don't degrade. So this whole thing should be stopped. We should learn our lessons back from China. They mass vaccinated poultry years ago, and it was a disaster.
So you can't cook it out, is that right?
It'll probably degrade the proteins. It'll probably degrade the mRNA if you do cook it. But again, these are all unknowns and things that they will probably not test. And we won't know which chickens have the vaccine products or not. They won't require labeling. And so regardless, even if it is destroyed during cooking, we don't want it in our food supply.
No, we don't. But there's no guarantee it will be destroyed, right?
Right. There's no guarantee because that's something, knowing how they don't test things before they roll them out, I would not expect them to test how to remove the vaccine components.
Now explain how this could cause the evolution, if you will, of the pandemic to spread.
Yeah, so during a pandemic, right, and you introduce a vaccine that's what's called non-sterilizing, so it doesn't give them full immunity, right? So mRNA shots, we know that doesn't give you full immunity. You still get infected. Single antigen-based ones, that doesn't give you full immunity. It's just one antigen. There's many antigens on these viruses. And so you still get infected, but then all of a sudden your body, it's been found in a study by Lee and colleagues to result in mutant strains. And we even saw this with the COVID-19 pandemic. After the mRNA injection campaigns in humans, this also led to the development of new strains. And so this is just a known phenomenon and not something we should be doing.
You had a very, well, by the way, before I move on to the next topic, When will we know whether they're going to do this or not?
It appears this project or plan will be finalized by July, and we'll have a much better idea if they'll be going forward with this or not, in the next few months or so. So I guess the best thing we can do now is raise our concerns that we don't want our animal or our food supply to be vaccinated with toxic products.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they're trying to engineer another pandemic? And you think more so during a Trump administration, like they rolled out COVID on his first term?
Yes, there's no doubt about that. We've now had over 5-6 warnings by prominent people like Bill Gates, like Ashish Jha, like Peter Marks, the former FDA official in charge of vaccine research. In the past few months, they've all been warning about imminent bioterror attacks. There's thousands of BSL-3 and BSL-4 biolabs in the United States. Any of them could be holding these modified pathogens with pandemic potential. And we do know that they are forecasting these bioterror attacks. And so, yeah, I do believe...
Let's stop right there for a minute. And it's public knowledge where those are. I mean, anyone could look those up, right?
Right.
So if a terrorist group like Iran, Hezbollah, terror cells, want to go and take out one of these, they could use that to spread a major pandemic, right?
Yeah, they could do it, or another actor could do it and just blame it on Iran or China in an attempt to start a war or escalate any war tension. So now the situation is so complex in America. We really do hope there is no sort of bioterrorism attacks. We got to keep a close eye on this and really, really drill into these laboratories and ensure they're not doing anything illegal, especially given that recently 3 Chinese CCP-linked researchers were arrested by the FBI at University of Michigan for transporting from China to the U.S. illegal biological materials.
So clearly they have plans to use these. Otherwise, why would you be bringing them here? Then you add that to the storage locker that was found in California 2 years ago or so with all those pathogens, right?
Yeah, I believe that was called the Ridley Biolab or something along those lines. Yeah, that was a disaster. They had all sorts of pathogens. They had Ebola, they had COVID, they had, I think they had Nipah virus. I'm not sure, but they had all sorts of viruses. And, there's probably many of those labs that are basically in, people's basements holding all sorts of very dangerous pathogens.
Let's go to another article by you over at thefocalpoints.com, thefocalpoints.com. This is a startling headline. COVID-19 vaccines responsible for more American casualties than World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War combined. That is startling.
Yes, this is very disturbing, and this is a conservative estimate. We know VAERS is actually underreported by a factor of about 100. A Harvard report in collaboration with HHS a few decades ago found less than 1% of vaccine injuries are reported to VAERS. So actually the number should be 19,000, which is the current death toll in VAERS. We should actually multiply that by 100. Right, but 31 has been assumed to be a conservative estimate in a study by Rose and colleagues in the journal Science, Public Health Policy and the Law. So we do give these conservative estimates, so we're not, so we're being reasonable for people that can't even accept there's been 10 deaths. And so, yeah, look at the death toll from World War I, World War II, Vietnam War. That's the American death toll, 580,000. We have far surpassed that. And another estimate, not using VAERS, but using a study with Florida Surgeon General Joe Ladapo on that study. You extrapolate that study to American Pfizer estimates, and it actually becomes 470,000 in the first year alone, 470,000 deaths from Pfizer. And so this is not something we can just brush under the rug, right? When there's a massive war, a mass casualty event, we got to address that, and we got to start healing the people that have been seriously injured.
Mm-hmm. We talk about the goal of globalists to depopulate, You think, well, start a world war. You can depopulate that way, right? But this is really showing us that a pandemic will wipe out more people than a world war. Because you're talking here World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War combined. So, I mean, if your goal is partly depopulation, don't we have a video of Gates saying that the vaccines will help depopulation?
Yeah, he said that in a TED Talk. He said so he gives an equation in order to reduce CO2. And one way to do that was through increasing vaccine uptake. They'll reduce the number of people in the equation, which will in turn, he claims, reduce CO2. And so, yeah, he stated that, about a decade ago.
All right, let's see what else you got here. Study. Review calls for market removal of COVID-19 vaccines intensify as risk far outweigh the theoretical benefits. We've got a bunch of groups as I scroll through your timeline on your website. I don't know, I got it somewhere.
Hey, go to the very top.
You got a list of, there they are right there.
Yeah. So we collected all these organizations. We found them. We reached out to some of them. And in this study that's published in the journal Science, Public Health Policy, and the Law, we did find 17 professional physician and scientific organizations that have all called for the immediate market withdrawal of these vaccines. This was back in December. It's probably way more than 17, but these are the most prominent ones that we could identify. It's just when there's this many scientific organizations, our government should start listening to them, right? Not to Pfizer, not to Moderna, but to these real organizations that care about people and are not in it for the profits.
And what do you make of RFK Jr. getting rid of a bunch of these people? 17 people on that vaccine board?
Yes, he wiped it out. He clicked the reset button and he's repopulating it with people that should be making much better decisions than were previously, that's for sure.
You also put out there public records, widespread mRNA carnage, mass injury and death in new polls. 81.3% of Americans say they or a loved one suffered serious injury, disability, or death from mRNA shots. 79% believe the shots caused over 1 million deaths.
Yes, this also is very concerning to me. So what I did was I initiated 2 polls on X, just to see what the public sentiment is of the mRNA injection campaigns at the moment. And what we found is shocking. 81% of the over 1,000 participants in the survey either they themselves have been seriously injured or disabled, or a loved one of theirs has been seriously injured, disabled, or died. And so that's a vast majority of the respondents. Now, yeah, this is an X poll, right? And it's not a scientific survey, but regardless, this should raise major concerns. That's a lot of people that have been seriously affected, seriously injured. And then when we have 79% believing over 1 million people have died as a result of the mRNA injection campaign. So it's clear the public knows these are extraordinarily deadly, and they have been affected. It's what I call mRNA carnage.
mRNA carnage. Well, that's for sure. All right, folks, if you want to follow him on X, here you go. Here's all the things you need to know. At McCullough Fund. You can also go to the website, thefocalpoints.com. And you can follow Nick here at Nick Hulscher, N-I-C for Nick, N-I-C-H-U-L-S-C-H-E-R, Nick Hulscher, director of the McCullough Foundation. Any other news you need to tell us about before we let you go?
No, that's about it. We're at the McCullough Foundation, we're going to keep tracking things. We're going to keep looking for new harms that pop up. And we have a paper coming out that will truly shock people. Okay, will you come back when it's out? Yes, I will. All right, Nick Hulscher, thank you for checking in, Nick. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me. And he mentioned, of course, McCullough Foundation. That's Peter McCullough, who also is with the Wellness Company. And I have one of these. I have several of these, actually. The wellness kits. You can get them at worldviewhealthcare.com. Got your amoxicillin, your ivermectin, all kinds of things in here. Again, you can either go and sit and wait at urgent care when you get the flu or something that needs an antibiotic,
Or you can just do what we've done on more than one occasion, and that is walk down the hall, get out the pack, read the book inside, line up your symptoms with what you need to be taking. Remember last fall, I had pneumonia, had a temperature of 103. There's no way I felt good enough to get in a car and go to a wellness center somewhere and sit like a urgent care. I didn't have to because I had the wellness company kit with amoxicillin already in it. So you check it out, get your own, worldviewhealthcare.com. We'll be right back. We live in uncertain times. In fact, we live at a time when our own governments all over the world are warning us that there could be big problems with our power grid. World War III seems to be right on the horizon. Let me ask you this. Do you have a satellite phone? Should communications go down with cell towers? Do you have a satellite phone to get a hold of that college student or your spouse who travels, whatever it might be, to get a hold of your senior adult parents? We have satellite phones at worldviewtalk.com, and you get the satellite phone for free when you sign up for their very reasonable payment programs for the service. Sign up for the service with a reasonable contract, get the satellite phone for free. Worldviewtalk.com. You'll also find they have, well, what I now have, which is a solar generator. Yeah, I have a gas generator, an LP propane generator, but what if that goes down? I want to back up to my backup. So I now have a solar generator as well. You'll find them at worldviewtalk.com. Check it out today, worldviewtalk.com.
Consumers often ask, what should I expect when I take the Bella Grace elixir? And the answer's varied. It really depends on what your health and wellness needs are. I would consider this as your foundational core product for a whole range of health and wellness issues. Let me give you a few examples. If you're a little bit older and you have some joint health issues, some problems with mobility and discomfort, the elixir is going to be your best friend. If you have some skin health issues, wrinkles, hydration, aging, all of those elements are going to be benefited from the elixir, including age spots. Now, if you're in a younger demographic, maybe visual health is where you need some assistance. Eye fatigue, dry eyes, all of those are going to be benefited by the elixir. It's a core product because it benefits so many.
Joining me now is Patrick Wood to talk about, well, a big land grab, it looks like. Look at this headline from Technocracy.news. 250 million acre bonanza. 250 million acre bonanza. Technocrats' big, beautiful land grab. Something says to me this has got to be about data centers. Yeah. I don't know. Let's see what Patrick Wood thinks. And then we have another article I want to talk about with him at Technocracy.news, and that is about Mexico. Is Mexico the new China? Joining me now is Patrick Wood, the purveyor of Technocracy.news. Patrick, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. Is this in the big, one big beautiful bill? Is that what this is in, the BBB?
It is. Believe it or not.
And
yeah, we discover more stuff as time goes on.
Yeah, that's why you got to run these things through fast before people find out about it, right?
I know.
So
exactly.
250 million acre bonanza. That's a lot of land. Now, what does this bill, this provision, this amendment in here do?
Well, it's providing for the immediate sale of like 2.2 plus million acres. And beyond that, however, it unlocks 250 million acres in the future to be sold off. Now, that's not specified who is going to buy it. It's not going to be you and me, I don't think. Trump could have invoked a Homestead Act where ordinary Americans could buy land. That happened, like in the 1800s. That's not happening right now. So the only people who have the money to put into this project is basically going to be the billionaires of the world, right? Mm-hmm. And the Black Rocks and the State Street and those type of people. It won't be you and me, unfortunately. And at this point, it appears there's loopholes in this that could tie the land use to AI initiatives on AI for 10 years, removing the property from local control. So, for instance, in Nevada, there's lots of land in Nevada that is owned by the federal government. If 1 million acres was taken out of their tax base, if you will, and put into the hands of who knows who, we don't know, but the local zoning authorities would not have any say over how this land would be used. That's a big
So they
problem.
could put up data centers right next to subdivisions.
Yes, exactly. So
data centers right up next to subdivisions. The local community would have nothing to say about it, which fits with that provision in the BBB that states will have no control over AI for 10 years, right?
That's exactly right. I'm sure this is going to be bigger than just AI at this point, because Trump has already intimated, and so has Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce. They both alluded to taking all of the land that is owned by the federal government, like 630 million acres. That's a lot of land, like 30% plus of our country. That
wait a minute, 30%. I don't want to interrupt your flow of thought, so put a pin in that. But when you say 30%, we've had Margaret Byfield on here for what, like 3 years, Logan? And she was warning us 3 years ago about Biden's 30 by 30. The federal government taking 30% of the land by 2030. And you're telling me that's in this bill.
Well, I know. This is absolutely insane. And this 30 by 30 project, by the way, is not dead, not by a long shot. But in any case, to say that Trump and Lutnick are lusting over the natural resources of America has been very clearly stated by them. So the fact that perhaps 250 million acres would be sold off to the highest bidder, maybe the Exxons of the world, maybe the military and industrial complex, who knows? But this will not be land that could be controlled by local authorities.
What if it were going to be sold? I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here. If President Trump is not a big fan of the Federal Reserve, which I'm not a big fan of the Federal Reserve, it's a private bank, it's a private organization, and the Federal Reserve Act 1913 gives a federal charter to about a dozen banks, so private banks. I'm not a big fan of that. Everybody should read G. Edward Gifford's book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. But what if President Trump is trying to create an alternative to the Federal Reserve, to crush the deep state and their funding and all they're doing, and that's assuming that's what he's doing? Could he be going to sell this land to some huge conglomerate of cryptocurrencies to build a new system that backs a new currency system?
Absolutely so.
Really?
This is one implication that we need to think about it, at least. They haven't said openly at this point that this bill is tied to that. However, Lutnick very clearly said just after the election that they want to get their hands on all of the $1 trillion plus assets of the United States and digitize the whole thing. And, this could be, I thought at the time, that could be the plan to get us out of national debt.
Now, I hate to say, I told you so, but this is what my show was on June 10th, 2011.
There you go.
June 10th, 2011. Here you go. Is it possible that a regional currency for North America could be backed by land? Would this explain why the federal government is taking land from many states and federalizing hundreds of square miles? Well, it's more than hundreds. It should be millions, but or thousands. Yeah. So I was kicking that idea around back in 2011 because I'm thinking, how are you going to prop up a failed or failing fiat currency, hard assets, land, right? So all of these things are on the table, right?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And don't remember that Trump talked about freedom cities. How freedom cities, at least they're talking about at least 10 to be built, who knows where, but this could be part of that idea to create public-private partnerships to build freedom cities. When we say freedom, we're talking about free, like 15-minute cities, smart cities, surveillance cities, whatever. They're not going to be oriented to freedom for the American people for sure. But this is the idea. The technocrats, people like Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Silicon Valley at large, they wanted to create city-states within America already to establish them as mini technates, if you will, not controlled by the county authorities or the city authorities. We see many of these around the country. For instance, there was one in the Bay Area just recently that's been established close to an air base up there. It's just outside, about the west of San Francisco and a little bit north. They wanted to create a city, a smart city from scratch, and they want to have this whole city being inhabited basically by technocrats, and they're going to call all the shots. And this is not American at all. This is no way considered part of America, and they want it that way. So this business of the network state within a state is just absolutely insane. We should not do that at all. But you can see the thinking, I think, with this first sale of land, 2 or 3 million acres. That would be chump change for some of these people, like BlackRock, for instance, or State Street. They could probably cough up the money in a heartbeat.
Think about this for a minute. What if, and again, I'm just thinking out loud, what if Donald Trump is like, I'm so sick of the deep state and all they did to me and to the country, and I know where their power base is. I know what it is where they really get their money from. It's from the Federal Reserve, the banks, this progressive income tax system. Let's build a whole new system. And being a guy that comes out of the business world and out of development, what if he's saying, if you could take and create a Federal Reserve system, which is a private system, well, why couldn't you just create another private system? They've already done it since 1913. Why not this time create another private system of big government and big business that destroys this other system? So if you're Donald Trump and you're thinking, how do I get back at these people that came after me, my family, and the country? Let's destroy their system in place of a new system. And you and I keep talking about the new system. And we've played the clips of the guy from Palantir. Remind me of his name again. What, the one that wants to talk about Revelation and the Antichrist all the time?
Yeah, Peter Thiel.
Peter Thiel, thank you. Peter Thiel. He kept talking about, a new system, right? We can have the Antichrist system or this new system, right? So what if Donald Trump is saying, hey, they created a private system. We're going to follow their lead. And we're going to create a private system, and our system will destroy their system. So isn't this now coming down to a battle of systems and who controls the systems?
It is. My guess would be that at least this first chunk of land for like 2 million acres plus, probably that's going to be bought with some type of a cryptocurrency, perhaps Bitcoin, for instance. And if that establishes the model, if you will, privately, of how to digitize other land in America, that leaves the government right behind to digitize everything at some point. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And if
so are you saying it's laying the foundation for the private companies to come in and buy it, and they buy it with cryptocurrency or Bitcoin?
Yes.
And then that lays the legal framework for the federal government to say, well, you know what? we'll just tokenize all the land and back this new currency system we're creating.
Exactly.
Because I was reading the other day that President Trump and Barron Trump have made millions of dollars on cryptocurrency. Have you?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, they have. Yeah, they have.
So they kind of know how this thing works. And I guess Barron is supposedly the one that's taught Trump this, right?
I think so. But, you know, he has so many people around him, like David Sachs, for instance, one of the original founders of PayPal. So, you know, he has lots of people that are savvy on cryptocurrency, and including Howard Lutnick, by the way. He's been touting cryptocurrencies all along the way, and in terms of nationalizing the assets of, well, it's already owned by the government, but to digitize the assets of the country so that they can make money on those assets. If it just sits there as land and timber and gold mine and whatever, oil, it's no good to anybody. But they're saying, well, if we could just make 1% even on this, these assets that we own, why, we could just do everything, you know, pay down the national debt, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, that's stretching. That's not going to happen. But I don't have the clip with me right now where Lutnick talks about that. But it was stunning to me that he just flat out said, if we can get our hands on this whole business of all the land and the resources that the federal government owns, why, we could. And he talks about Elon Musk as well in the same breath. Elon and I can make even 1%. Why, we could just, you know, do everything we wanted to do in our country, or make America great again, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sorry, Howard, that's not your land in the first place. That you could just take it at your will, and I don't care if you work for the government or not. This is not your land to take in the first place. This is the people's land.
That's right. That's right. Logan, could you find that clip? Howard Lutnick talking about land and monetizing it. We'll see if we can find it. Is it just me, guys? For the last several weeks, every time I try to search something on X, this is what I get. You know? It's ridiculous. Look at that. We'll put in Howard Lutnick. I'm going to try to search. Nothing. I don't know. I hate to say it, but X is becoming more and more less valuable to me all the time with all the glitches. I don't know why the guy has so many glitches. If he's such a computer whiz and building this big data center here in the Mid-South, he can't run X. Keep that going. Maybe the guy's focusing on too much with his rockets blowing up. Didn't one just blow up the other night? Didn't one blow up?
I think so.
Yeah, but I can't even get X to work some of the times. That's for sure. My power just went off 5 times in a matter of 60 seconds.
Wow.
On Saturday. I know. I don't know if it was this new data center of Musk or not. I don't know. But beautiful sunny day. The power went up and down 5 times Saturday morning. I don't know what that's about. I want to ask you when we come back real quick about another article at technocracy.news. Mexico is the new China, or as Trump would say, China. We'll deal with that with Patrick Wood of Technocracy.news right after this. Don't go away.
True beauty isn't applied. It's nourished from within. Bella Grace Elixir, a luxurious, scientifically crafted blend designed to restore radiance, vitality, and strength at a cellular level. At the heart of Bella Grace Elixir lies cat's claw, a powerful herb from the Amazon known for its ability to control inflammation and protect collagen. With Verisol collagen peptides, it goes beyond the surface, stimulating your body's natural collagen production to reduce fine lines, improve skin elasticity, and promote real, visible change. Bella Grace Elixir doesn't stop at collagen. It includes astaxanthin, one of nature's most powerful antioxidants. 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C, astaxanthin protects your skin from harmful UV rays and environmental stress, while locking in hydration and promoting a radiant, youthful glow. Experience the power of nature with Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Discover the science behind Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Read powerful testimonials from doctors and real customers who've experienced life-changing results, and explore other wellness products from Bella Grace. Bella Grace Elixir is more than just a product. It's a solution. Visit melissahousebg.com today.
Looking for a trusted source to understand today's world through a Christian worldview? Worldview Tube is built on the 35 years of Worldview books, columns, research, and high-profile interviews of Brannon Howse. Want to know more about Worldview Tube, its founder, history, team, and mission? Visit worldviewtube.com/about. That's worldviewtube.com/about. Worldview Tube is your source for understanding the times through the lens of a Christian worldview.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, website Worldview Radio. No, this is Worldview Tube. I feel like I'm on radio today. That's autopilot we just saw there. Worldviewtube.com, not Worldview Radio. Worldviewtube.com. All right, joining me again is Patrick Wood. We're going to go to another article here real quick. And here it is. Pippi Malmgren. Mexico is the new China. She's the one that talked about going to a new digital currency and all that back at one of these events. I think the World Economic Forum, and now she says it's the new China. Patrick, why is she saying Mexico's the new China?
Wow, this is a really interesting tell, I think, because she's been plugged into the global elite establishment for a long time. She doesn't surface much, but we caught her in that Mideast conference on world government, I think it was.
Oh, that's right. It was a summit on world government. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, and she just blurted it out that well, we're going to blockchain. Everything's going to be blockchain. She said, "Well, now it's playing out, isn't it?" So now she's saying that China, or Mexico rather, is becoming the new China. As far as the United States is concerned, they have the infrastructure, they have manufacturing base, etc. No shipping, no container shipping. Everything can be brought up by rail, for instance. So, even if you discount what she's saying, maybe they have that. Maybe they have the ability to be, an industrial base for us. I see this as a setup, a trial balloon for establishing the North American Union.
Bingo.
Period. End of subject.
Bingo.
I know.
Which fits with President Trump talking about Canada as the 51st state, and of course all the maps we've shown going back to the 1930s of Mexico, Canada, America, all in red as one. I mean, this, of course, fits with Bible prophecy. The 10 horns or 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but who for 1 hour will receive authority as kings and then give their power to the Antichrist. The world divided into 10 regions, which the Club of Rome has done years ago. The United Nations has done. The European Commission has done. They've all divided the world into 10 regions. So you have your North American Union. We already know from the former president of Mexico, Vicente Fox, he told Larry King, we've played the video many times, that Larry King says, were you talking about an Amero? An Amero, one currency? Oh, that'd be down the line. He didn't say no. He said that'd be down the line, right? So this has all been going on and in the works. And we were called conspiracy theorists and kooks, and it's all playing out. Like everything else we've said, it's all playing out, right? People saying in 2011 that, hey, the federal government's going to use the land that they're grabbing from states to back our currency and a North American currency. You guys just saw, I talked about that back in June of 2011 on my radio show. That's kooky talk, right? That's what people say. Voila, here we are.
Exactly. I was involved in the fight in 2005 and 6 and 7 when George Bush W was partnered with, we call them the three amigos, right? Where they're trying to abscond with America and Mexico and Canada forget it. We're going to have a regional governance. We're going to have security around the whole region, et cetera, a unified military command and all that kind of stuff. We fought it tooth and nail, and we shot it down. We absolutely shut it down.
And whose wife was, according to my book, The Coming Religious Reich in 2016, yes. Whose wife was reportedly on the inside, had been working with the big banks, and was working in the Bush administration, George W., to bring that about. Let's see. Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz, right?
That's right.
And who, as a U.S. senator, was pushing the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which basically would create, again, these unions. Oh, wait a minute. That would be Ted Cruz himself. Yes, sorry, I haven't trusted Ted ever since then. I don't trust Ted. Doesn't mean I don't agree with him on things, but there are people in this audience that just love Ted Cruz. That's because you don't know Ted Cruz. I don't know many people that know Ted Cruz that like Ted Cruz once you get to know him, okay? And his daddy is even more peculiar person. I mean, President Trump, isn't he the one that said when he was running the first time that Ted Cruz's dad was there with having something to do with the Kennedy assassination on the ground there? Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But there are pictures out there that I think Roger Stone was putting it out the other day. Wasn't that Roger Stone, Logan? Go pull up Roger Stone's tweet from the other day. I think Roger Stone was showing that. So all I'm saying is there's a lot of shady characters around here. Here we go, Roger Stone. Here we go. A lot of shady characters running around here, some of them. And I'm not so sure about Mr. Rafael Cruz, who, by the way, I've got him on video speaking at some of the new apostolic reformation, so-called churches, the new prophets and apostles. So I just don't trust the Cruz family. I'm sorry. Here's Roger. After the National Enquirer exposed Ted Cruz for serial... Okay, I don't want to even get into that. That's his business. Let's see here. Okie dokie. All right. Cruz also blames me for accurately reporting that his father, Rafael Cruz, was indeed an associate of Lee Harvey Oswald. This is not only confirmed by photos included in the Warren Commission report, but also has been confirmed by Judith Berry Baker, who was Oswald's mistress, who told me Angel Cruz was among those in New Orleans distributing fair trade play for Cuba literature that JFK researchers have tracked to the FBI operative Guy Bannister. Ted Cruz, his meltdown in public over this was one of the most enjoyable things I've ever seen. Now, this was put out by Roger Stone on February 21st. I can neither confirm nor deny. He says that's Rafael Cruz right there, and there's Lee Harvey Oswald. Okay, now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But this is interesting to me because I think, and I know we're on another track here, Lee Harvey Oswald was probably working for our government. He was probably in the military, intelligence, CIA, FBI. There's a lot of information about that in his pay stubs that Rogers talked about. I wouldn't doubt that Mr. Cruz, Rafael Cruz, if that's really him, would have been working with someone like Oswald if their goal was to penetrate the communist groups and find out about the communist groups in America. Then Mr. Cruz, Rafael, would be doing something I think I would agree with and very patriotic. I think Oswald was set up in a patsy. That being said, if that is Rafael Cruz Sr., and I don't know that it is, I'm just telling you what Rogers put out there, you've got a guy who's now got his son as the U.S. Senator running around pushing TPP, which then U.S. Senator from Alabama, help me out, U.S. Senator from Alabama, Jeff Sessions was horribly opposing it. My friend Phyllis Schlafly was opposing it. I was opposing it. But again, all my research shows Ted Cruz's wife was involved in this with George W. And then Ted's pushing TTP in the Senate. So again, I don't know. This is kind of an interesting family, is what I'm saying.
It really is. And don't forget that George H.W. Bush was the director of the CIA for many years.
Yep.
Before he got into politics.
Yep.
So there you go. So, well, all that to say, by the way, that Pippa is the perfect person to float this trial balloon, in my opinion, because she has no baggage at all. She's not a lightning rod, right? She's not going to be igniting spot fires anywhere. And she's a perfect one to kind of, lay this out for people to chew on.
Yep.
So
be aware. All of this might be coming down to what we've been talking about for years: grabbing land, backing a new North American currency, digitizing it, however they want to do. It all adds up, and it all traces back to some very odd things in the BBB, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
All right, more at technocracy.news, technocracy.news. And I would fully invite Heidi Cruz or Ted Cruz on my show to agree, disagree, refute, condemn, whatever, anything has been said tonight. We give fair play to everybody, but I will not hold my breath that Ted or Heidi will show up on the broadcast. How about you, Patrick? Do you think they will?
Or Pip, I'm not sure that Pippa, maybe she'll come on.
He's welcome as well. Okay? Technocracy.news. Thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate it. All right, before we go tonight, hey, don't forget our fall conference, our 22nd annual fall oh, look at there. We got the filters up. So if you bought one of those Century shower or sink, we now have the filters there. You have to replace them about every year, unless, of course, you got really, really dirty water. Really chemical filled water. Then it's not going to start tasting like chemicals again and smelling funny. So for some of you, maybe 9 months, but about a year. So we got the filters up there now if you want to get them. And of course, the filters themselves, we got those. But look at this, our national conference, our 22nd annual national conference is Friday night, October 3rd and Saturday, October 4th, right? And there are all the hotels in beautiful Collierville, Tennessee, about 30 minutes outside of Memphis. Beautiful, safe airport, which I think they're going to call I think they're changing the name to the Fred Smith International Airport, right? Yeah, I think they're going to name it after Fred Smith, the owner of FedEx that passed away. It passed away at 80 years of age. We reported it within like 17 minutes of it breaking the other night, Saturday night. So he lived right here in Memphis. That guy was like worth $1 billion. I'm not kidding. Do you think he would live outside of Memphis if this was a horrible place to live? No, there are a lot of wealthy people. Are there a lot of wealthy people that live in Memphis, Caleb? Have you ever seen the big houses over there in East Memphis? Huge estates with huge guest houses. I mean, their guest houses are huge. You think all those people would stay there living if this was a bad town? No. There's a few hot spots, but Memphis gets over scrutinized. No different than Kansas City parts and Chicago and St. Louis. It's just LA, Chicago. Come on. Don't buy all the lies. It's a beautiful area. We're not having the conference in Memphis. We're having it in Collierville. All right? So Stephen A. Smith, chill. I don't think I even knew who the guy was till last week. Barely. October 3rd and 4th. There's only 350 seats. You want to join us. All these amazing speakers, full details, and to get your tickets. They're $99. We brought the price way down. We were able to save a lot of money moving it to the Mid-South. And we passed the savings on to you. Get your tickets now for October 3rd and 4th, Friday night, Saturday, our 22nd annual national conference, worldviewstore.com. Now, again, if you appreciate everything we're doing, run over there to worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Check out all the great products, the Bella Grace that I take every day, the Numi that I swish with, the Numi that has glutathione to detox your cells. Such studies show it can remove mercury from your brain, helping prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. I take the Gatatana. That's the green drink I take every day. One little scoop is equivalent of 90 billion plant cells. And of course, you know, I put half a scoop on Dolly's food every morning. So these are the three things I do every day: my Gatatana, my Bella Grace, and my Numi. And they work so well together. They're all there. worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. And don't forget, one of the most powerful ways you can support us is by going to worldviewfoundation.com. You also find our mailing address there if you prefer to support us through the mail. You can also call, leave a voicemail for Melissa or text her. She'll get back to you. She's the head of donor relations and customer support, and she'll help you make a contribution over the phone if that's what you prefer to do. By the way, don't forget about us in your estate planning. We have many people that have left our foundation in their estate planning. And if you would like to leave a lasting legacy where we continue pushing out Christian worldview programming, then think about us in your estate planning. And if you're interested in putting our foundation in your estate planning, you can contact Melissa at that number there, and she'll give you our EIN number and our official mailing address to give to your accountant, your attorney, to get you in, get our foundation in your estate planning. So thank you for doing that, so we can continue to push out Christian worldview programming all around the world. What a great legacy that would be, right? For you, and we would appreciate that. A lot of families have done that. All right, roll the music. Let's call it a night. Let's call it a night. What do you think, Dolly? Should we call it a night? Come on up here and say good night. Come on. Come up here and say good night. Come on. No, now you're going to be shy? Now you're going to be shy after you're tweaking your toy and everything? All right, be shy. You want a treat? Well, come here. I can go get you a treat. Come up here. Woo, look at that. There you go. I'll get you a treat. We'll go. I know where the treats are. All right. Thanks for watching, and thank you for promoting the show. Thank you for promoting the show and telling everybody about Worldview Tube, right? We really appreciate it. And praying for us. Oh, and don't forget those business cards. I got to get some of those back at the desk. We've sent out over 15,000 of those, right, Caleb? You can get them free of charge, a stack of 20. Pass them out to your family and friends. I know people are passing them out. They're reordering them. Worldviewstore.com. They're free. Worldviewstore.com. Hey, thanks for watching. Till next time, I'm Brandon House. May God save America. Take care.
economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon House.
All right, guys, welcome to the broadcast. Glad you are with us on this Monday, June 23rd, 2025. We're going to be joined by Colonel Rob Maness. We'll get a live report out of Israel with our reporter on the ground, Aaron Lavarco, brought to you by our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com. We, of course, had to go on the air on Saturday evening. As I told the audience then, I just kind of thought something might happen. So did many of you. And we had actually planned our evening accordingly, had dinner reservations at 4:45 in the afternoon. That's how confident I was I would have to be back at the desk on Saturday night. And we were. And we went for a good 2+ hours on the breaking news of our U.S. military striking the nuclear facilities in Iran. Well, while we're on the air now, today, 1:02 p.m. Central, 2:02 Eastern Standard, June 23rd, there are reports that Iran is targeting our bases, U.S. bases in the Middle East with missiles, where reports are early on. They have all been knocked down. Thank the Lord for that. But that, of course, is pushing us into another territory. And what other nations are going to get involved? Apparently, the president of Russia, the former president of Russia, Medvedev, has said that they and other countries are going to make sure that Iran does indeed have a nuclear weapon. We're going to get to that with Colonel Rob Maness, as well as Aaron on the ground in Israel. Here is a tweet just put out by President